Pigweed here. Today we review a pale ale and discuss the Scopes monkey trial. Well, good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you, Pigweed. How about some beer and conversation?
Well, that's always a great idea. What are we drinking?
Well, this is Beer Farm's Dew Point Pale Ale.
All right. Well, that sounds good.
Okay. So, what's on your mind?
Well, what do you think's on my mind? It's been 100 years.
It's 2025.
2025.
So 1920. Oh,
Yes,
yeah, The Great Gatsby.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is that 100 years
1925.
ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that one. Okay. Mein Kampf.
The second best book of that year.
Not Mein Kampf. How about Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush?
Yes, that came out that year. But no, I am, of course, talking about the 100th anniversary of the Scopes, what they call Monkey Trial.
The Monkey Trial, yes, the Scopes Monkey Trial.
It's just, it's something, everybody has heard about it. You know who the names are. You kind of know roughly what was the issue at hand, but I don't know that much about it. But
there's some interesting details.
Now with this 100th year, it kind of got on my radar, and I said, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So that's fine. Now, this beer here, Dew Point Pale Ale, 5.5% alcohol by volume, and it's local. The good old Beer Farm just up the way.
I kind of like are these floaties or these...
oh, wow. I'm getting some floaties in there for sure.
Yes, I like... You don't have to filter everything.
You don't have to filter everything. So get in there and tell me what you think.
All right. Well, it's a lovely color. It got plenty of hop aroma like you want.
It's got this crazy-looking eyeball on the can. I don't understand what that's about. It's like a frog's eyeball or something.
Reptilian eyeball, but the... That's nice. So it says it's you're getting maybe get some tropical notes and some
piney notes. Yeah, I'm getting both of those. It's a little more hoppy than I would expect from a pale ale, and this is more on the order of like Dale's. Where you get
out there.
Yeah,
the aroma's
good. Yeah, good flavor. Lots of hops going on in here.
Right.
And the floaties is an extra bonus. So you don't have to eat anything with this beer. You just chew it. Yeah. All right. So. Scopes Monkey Trial. What is this about?
Well, so it's about this is good. This is an interesting introduction here. How about I give you this?
Okay, sure.
I'm going to read this here. It says the Scopes trial was one of the largest mass media events the country had ever seen. Mm-hmm. At its core, it was about the broader struggle over the direction of American society.
Yeah.
The Dayton courthouse became a battleground over the meaning of freedom, the role of science and religion in the classroom, and conflict between tradition and modernity.
Right.
It laid bare the fundamental tensions of a rapidly changing society that forced all of America to take sides.
Yeah, that's
a
pretty good
intro.
I like that. Yeah.
So let's talk to me about the mood, the tenor, the zeitgeist of 1925.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Right. You had Prohibition shortly before then. You have maybe 10, 15 years before then, you had what's called the fundamentalist modernist controversy in churches. And that was a question of there were all these new ways of looking at the Bible that were coming out from German. There's something called the documentary hypothesis that was coming out of Germany that was affecting the way people read the Bible. So there was a lot of tension. You had these new scientific theories. You had evolution. You had Freud. You had other things that were big on the scene at the time.
So it's post-World War. It's between the wars.
Yeah.
It's modernism, which is there's a certain disillusionment with how things have been going up to that point, and so it's time to challenge the old ways, and which included fundamentalism.
A lot of things. I mean, the sexual liberation. There was women voting. There was increased urbanization. I mean, there's all these things going on. You have the mass media for the first time. Really, there wasn't really mass media before.
Yeah, this was like the OJ trial of the time. It was radio is new,
right?
And they're able to transmit over wires. So it's an event that everybody can huddle around listen to.
And America was going through some fundamental changes. There was not only the move from the country to the city, also there were a lot more Catholic and Jewish immigrants, which kind of challenged the hegemony of Protestant denominations. So there's all these things going on. There's this big stew of all this change. And some people were like, I'm not happy with this. Yeah. Let's slow down. Let's not change all these things right away.
Right, but there's a full generation or two that had grown up with Darwinism in the air, with evolution in the air. So this is 1959, I think, is the origin of the species. So this is
1859. So
right.
Right. So it's quite a bit after.
This is 50-some years,
but it took a while for it to really catch on.
Yes.
So
it's very academic I'm sure, for a generation.
And to tell you the truth, I'll get to this later, but the numbers even today are...
Okay, good.
Okay, good. But, so, yes, it took some time for it to catch on, but you had this... all these different things. You had the scientific approach to the development of man. You had the scientific approach to your mind through Freud. You had the scientific approach to the Bible through
the economy with Marx.
Exactly. So you have all these different challenges to traditional ways of understanding things, and that was just it was
in the air,
a big boil.
This
big confusion, ball of confusion. What was that song in the 1960s? Ball of confusion. That was 1925.
And then you had a PR campaign by a little town in Tennessee.
Well, we have to back up a little bit before that. You're right.
Right.
But what happened was Tennessee passed this law saying...
Butler Act.
Yeah, saying that you can say what you want about the age of the earth and everything else, but you can't deny that human beings are created special, like it says in the Bible. So the Butler Act wasn't trying to deny anything about the age of the earth. It wasn't trying to deny anything about the evolution of cats or dogs or something. It was trying to say, no, humans are specially created. We were going to draw a line here. You can't teach that.
Yes. And so this little town in Dayton, so this was passed in Tennessee. This was a state law. Teaching evolution a misdemeanor. Really not that big a deal.
And then the ACLU said, we want to find a test case. We want to find somebody who's willing to do that. Right.
And the town councilor or whoever of Dayton
said, hey, this is an opportunity.
We have, yes. How are we going to put our town on the map?
We're not getting enough commerce down at the soda bar. Yeah. We need to get some more people in this town.
So now all we need to do is find a teacher who's teaching it, who really wasn't even teaching.
Yeah, he was a physics teacher,
a math teacher,
and a football coach.
But he substituted. 24 years. Yes, he's a substitute teacher. He's 24 years old.
Right.
And they meet with him, and they're like, "We need you." But the textbook that he had in the classroom, contained evolution.
That's right.
It wasn't really. He wasn't biologist. He wasn't. That wasn't. Right. But would you be willing to do this thing? And he's like, all right.
Okay, fine. As long as you pay the fine.
So that is the trial is named after Mr. Scopes. This is our Scopes, a 24-year-old substitute teacher.
Yeah, football coach.
Because you have to find somebody with standing.
Yes.
So you have to.
By the way,
good.
Take note, all you small district courts out there. They have to have standing. You can't.
The ACLU just can't come in and sue on its own behalf.
You can't just say everybody in the world is affected. We're going to have a court case. You have to have somebody with standing.
Yes. So here you have a guy. He teaches it, and then he gets arrested.
Right.
For 5 minutes.
Right.
And now you got a guy with standing.
Now you've got a trial, and now you've got all this attention because the ACLU wants to make this into the big case, because what they want is they want to establish a national precedent over this issue.
Right. And now there's already been a man who has been traveling around the country. Huh. You ready to introduce our cast?
Sure, yeah. What's the cast of characters?
So our cast of characters, we've got our John Snopes.
Right.
Well,
Scopes.
What did I say?
You said Snopes.
Yeah,
that's the site that pretends to check things.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Very, very
okay, so we got John Scopes. We've got William Jennings Bryan.
So he's already has a reputation of traveling around arguing against evolution,
and he's sort of on the ending of his career.
Yes, he's already run for president 3 times.
Yeah.
He's been, the Secretary of State?
I think so, yeah.
So he's a well-known guy who's now Mr. Anti-Evolution.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, I think even William Jennings Bryan had no problem with evolution of dogs and cats and the age of the earth. It was just about humans that he was concerned, right? Yeah.
Yes. So they get William. So William Jennings Bryan, he's in.
He's big name, well recognized person, yeah. And he's in there to defend the Bible and to defend the idea of the special creation of man.
Yes.
And then we've got this other guy, Clarence Darrow,
who is also a rock star. Big name, atheist. He just came off the Leopold Loeb trial.
Okay.
Where he got these two. The Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Is that the one in New York where they
Chicago, where they felt that they were so smart, they just killed a person just to see if they could get away with it.
That's right. Yeah, that one. Right.
And got them. Well, didn't get them off, but got them off the death penalty.
Yeah.
So he was Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
Of the time, he was a spotlight guy, and he didn't really want any part of it until he heard that blowhard Bryan is taking the case.
Yes, and then you get these clash of titans here.
Right. Yeah.
In Dayton, Tennessee.
H.L. Mencken.
And so it's 3 titans.
Yes.
So you've got William Jennings Bryan, you've got Clarence Darrow, and then you've got H.L. Mencken. All these personalities clashing in this one little town.
Nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
And the PR effort, people are going, told ya.
Yeah, if you say Dayton, what do you think?
Yeah, Ohio.
Right? You don't think Dayton, Tennessee.
No, even still, I just think of this. I didn't know the Scopes monkey trial there, but I'm sure it was a big deal at the time.
Right.
And they had people selling monkeys. They had actual monkeys.
That's right. They had brought monkeys in.
People were selling stuffed monkeys. It was
a circus.
It was a circus.
Yes, it was the big thing.
This is interesting here. Author H.G. Wells was approached early to present the case for evolution.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting fact I didn't know about.
Well, so the funny thing is that the case was about, did you violate this law? Right?
Yes.
So the question is, the law says you can't teach this, and he taught it. So the case is about, did you violate the law?
Yeah.
But they didn't want it just to be about that.
No.
They wanted to blow it up into a big question of, is the Bible reliable? Is evolution true? It became...
Also, go ahead.
It became a big cultural thing rather than just a narrow focus on the question of the law.
Let me tease this question, because I don't want to do it right now, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
It's also very much a parental rights issue, which we have been very much on the side of.
Yeah.
Parental rights. You don't get to teach my kids.
Yeah.
What I don't want you to be taught.
One of the shows we listened to was you have these parents who are sending their kids to school and coming home and saying, I don't believe the Bible anymore. It's all a bunch of junk I learned in science class that none of it's true.
We're just monkeys with shoes.
Right. Yeah. So why the parents are now thinking, why am I spending money to send my kids to a school that's teaching them stuff that I don't agree with, that disagrees with my faith, that disagrees with the way I'm raising my kids? What's going on here? I want to have some say in what my kids are being taught. Right. So you're right. That is a big aspect of it.
Yeah, but I want to come back to it. So, however, they're not allowed to the judge doesn't allow them to bring any experts on evolution. So
because it's really not to the point.
So and Darrow's got nothing else to do. So he calls Bryan to the stand
as an expert on the Bible.
As an expert on the Bible.
That's right.
And so basically trying to punch holes in the fundamentalist every word in the Bible is true, and to make his point that way.
And I get the sense, I mean, I wasn't there, but I get the sense that Clarence Darrow was somewhat like Christopher Hitchens. He's a guy who can make anybody look like an idiot.
Yes.
Right. So he was, I was listening to this one YouTube video about it that I didn't like, but the guy was saying Clarence Darrow was a snake. He was deceptive. He was manipulative. Okay, maybe he was just being a good lawyer.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he was, the trial was manufactured for show.
It
was manufactured to bring these things to light because they wanted to have this conflict, because they wanted to say, can we get past this?
If it was just the local issue of did you violate the Butler Act, then nobody would have ever heard
Nobody would have paid any attention at all.
And
putting Bryan on the stand was really just an attempt to humiliate him. It was all for show, to get H.L. Mencken to write about it, to get it out there to the public.
Yes. Was the Earth created in 7 days?
Right.
And,
the goal,
making forcing him to take the literal interpretation, because if you can break him of the literal approach, then you can then sneak in science.
Exactly. Because if you say.
Some of it's literal and some of it's not.
Right. Though, how do you know which ones? Are they color-coded? Exactly. So you get into this problem.
I think that was the approach.
Yeah. So the goal was, you could say that the goal was more cultural than it was legal, although there was obviously a legal side to it.
Yeah.
Which is, does the state have a right to make this kind of a restriction? Because,
do you want to... Do you have something to say before we get to the verdict? I'm sure everybody is...
Well, I just wanted to say two more things. So Clarence Darrow was widely viewed as being a little morally slippery, but maybe that's just because he was a lawyer. What lawyer is not viewed as morally slippery, right? And then on the other hand, some people say that he played kind of dirty. And then the other part of it, though, is not just what went on in the court, because the rest of the country heard this through the lens of H.L. Mencken, who had his own spin on all this kind of stuff.
He called Dayton Monkey Town.
Exactly.
And this whole monkey trial thing came.
He shaped the whole narrative to try to mock Jennings Bryan, to try to mock the whole that whole approach. He wanted to make the fundamentalists look bad. He wanted to make the South look bad. He wanted to pit a difference between the educated elite northern people who believe in evolution
and these hillbillies.
Exactly.
Yes, and they were, and a lot of people were upset by the whole the whole enterprise to bring this thing to the town, because all you've done, instead of bringing commerce to town, you've made us look like hicks,
right? Exactly.
To the rest of the world.
That's right.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you got Snuffy Smith and the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So So what happened?
So the jury took 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Pronounced Scopes guilty and fined $100.
Well, of course he was guilty. the law said this, and he violated it. There's really no question about whether he was guilty or not.
Right. But the ACLU wanted this fight to... So, of course, a win is what sets precedent.
Yeah.
But you kind of set precedent in other way in the public's mind.
Well, that was the role of H.L. Mencken.
Yeah.
He was presenting the case in a certain way for the rest of the country to see, because not everybody could go to Dayton, Tennessee and watch the thing. Mm-hmm. And the way he presented it made a huge impact on the culture, no matter what the result turned out to be. He had already said, look, these stupid Bible thumpers versus the intelligent people who,
Right. Are we gonna go on the side of facts and reason in science, or are we on the side of? But again, there's concerns about what your children are taught.
Yes. And should the parents have some say in that? That's another big issue, right? Because,
all right, let me just do this right now. We recently did a show about SCOTUS wins.
Yeah.
And one was an event that took place right here
in Maryland. That's right.
And it was about whether or not you can opt your kid out of LGBT
indoctrination. That's right. Yeah.
And we were on the side of parents have the right.
Yeah.
So does that make us on the side of the Tennesseans and William Jennings Bryan saying we don't want? If we were there, would we have said, or is there something different about evolution versus LGBT?
Yeah, so it's a very complicated thing, and people want... people try to say, let's make a bright line test. Either you're all the way over here or you're all the way over here.
Okay.
And I don't buy that because obviously there has to be a limit on parents' rights. If parents want to train their children to be murderers, like let's say you have some weird religious cult that believes
in school we want this taught.
Yeah.
We're the parents, we get to say.
Yeah, and what they're trying to teach,
yes.
and what they're trying to teach is some absolute craziness. Then there comes a point where the state steps in. It's kind of like, if the way a parent raises their kid. Mm-hmm. Parents have great latitude in what they do raising their kid, but there comes a point where the state has to say, "I'm sorry, you can't do that."
Yeah.
We're going to step in now, and you can't do that anymore. So it's not like it's a bright line test. Parents get all the rights, or the state gets all the rights. There's a certain amount of judgment involved.
Okay, so I've already put us back there in 1925. So
okay,
I'm going to keep us there. You ready for this?
Yeah.
What about the worldview,
mm-hmm.
which says we are made in God's image, we contain a divine spark,
right?
Versus we are a complete accident of nature, barely removed from a monkey.
Right.
That is a very, especially in an environment where everybody believes in the divine nature of man,
right.
and the divine spark and
right.
Made in God's image and all of that.
And
isn't that threatening?
Yes.
How threatening is that?
Of course it's threatening, because it's an underlying fundamental aspect of everything that we say in our culture.
It's not just a science versus superstition issue. It's huge. It's your view of all of mankind.
It's absolutely cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to say that man does not have a divine spark, then what happens to all men are created equal? The very fundamental elements of our culture, everything about our law, everything about democracy, everything about human freedom, everything that our Western civilization is built on, you're just going to say, never mind, throw that away. Right. Yeah. So if we're just an accident kicked up out of the slime by the winds of chance, then
we've grown up in that, so it doesn't seem like a big deal. But it's 1925 in rural Tennessee.
Yes,
it's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. It is an absolutely huge deal. So I think that one aspect of this is if somebody wanted to teach Darwin and they wanted to say, this is the way man evolved over time, and then it's up to you to figure out how that works out with your faith and with the Bible and with everything else. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the science. Mm-hmm. That would be one thing. But apparently what was happening was they were using Darwin as a vehicle, as a mechanism to intentionally undermine religion, and that's why this bill got passed in the first place. They weren't just teaching the science; they were teaching a completely different worldview, and it was really the conflict of the worldviews that was at issue, not so much the question of the science.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people who believe, yeah, sure, we evolved from whatever, but still there's a point in which man became endowed.
That's exactly where I'm going. Let's just say all of this went along, just a bunch of dopey animals, Homo erectus, still dopey animal, and then God intervenes
at some point, in some way,
and says, "I'm going to give this being a consciousness which allows him to seek me."
Yeah.
That I'm not giving this to any other animal.
And that's not a scientific question.
And I think that coexists the whole...
Right, exactly. So it's very possible for somebody to believe in evolution and also to believe in the general outline of the concept of man is created in the image of God and has a divine spark.
What is the missing link? You have our predecessor, which is Homo erectus. Right?
Well,
you have nothing that gets us from Homo erectus to Homo sapien?
Yeah, so the problem is the fossil record is patchy. It's not like you can go out to some place and dig down, okay, this is 1,000 years ago, this is 5,000 years ago, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
So you get what you get.
We find a full skeleton here, and then another full skeleton here.
No, it's like
a part of a jaw, though.
Exactly. You find a tooth here, and you find a femur here, and so you have. The problem is that you get what you get, and it's not a complete picture. So as scientists were trying to develop here's the picture of human evolution, there were big gaps. And there are still gaps. Of course, there's always going to be gaps because we don't have this perfect sequence. So the idea of the missing link is people would say, well, there isn't a clear transition between something like an ape and something like a human. And then the people would come up with different, say, the Piltdown man is the transition or whatever it was. So the fossil record was much less robust then than it is now. But so people would make a big...
But it's still gappy.
It's still gappy, although there's quite a lot more information now than we had then. So the idea was, look, you claim that there's this transition from an ape-like thing to a human, but you can't show us, the clear development. So that's what they meant by the missing link.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So... You ready to talk about the legacy and the aftermath?
Absolutely.
So, right, well, the religious people won.
Yes.
And not only did they win,
they won in court, but not in the court of public opinion.
But it inspired other states.
Yes.
The other states were like, we need a Butler Law.
Three other states, actually 20 states, 20 or 22 states tried to pass such a law, but 3 of them actually did.
Right.
Arkansas and so it was Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi.
Right. So instead of thinking that this was the beginning of the demise, not really, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you really had plenty of that. Actually, anti-evolutionary crowd got a little steam.
Yes, and up until relatively recently, the last time evolution was asked in a presidential debate was May of 2007.
Oh.
So this has been going on for quite a long time, where people were saying, should public schools be teaching evolution?
Right. So, I mean, I think this was overturned in like 63 or
68. Epperson versus Arkansas. The Supreme Court said that banning the teaching of evolution violates the Establishment Clause.
Yeah, right. But there's also places where you would teach it or have like a little preface that says it's a theory.
Exactly.
It's got its problems, but we're going to teach our best guess that science has is this.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, the religious view is dumb and this is what really happens.
Yeah, and
so
science
that seems fair.
Science uses the word theory differently than people use the word in normal speech. But yes, the idea is that you could say, okay, fine, teach evolution, but don't teach it as if it's absolutely established fact. Teach it as if, you can teach it as an idea that people can accept or reject.
Right.
Don't teach it like dogma is part of the
right. But also, it's also theory means more than best guess.
Yes.
There are things that, gravity is a theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the theory of relativity. Yeah, that's right.
That cannot be, go through a falsifiable test.
Yeah.
So because it fails that, then it has to be called theory, but it doesn't mean like it's
it's not. It's not the way we use it. Like, for example, you see something, you see some person behaving in your certain way. I have a theory about that. That's not. That's
just
not
like
the
some
way,
guy. I got an idea.
That's
about
not
this.
the way science works. That's not what a theory means in science. But
a lot of people is not that flimsy.
Well, it's just the theory of evolution.
Just a theory.
Yeah. So there's that. But this question has persisted for quite a long time. And even today, so...
Here, give me some numbers. You got numbers?
Right, yeah, I do. 37 to 40% of Americans reject evolution entirely in favor of a literal reading of Genesis.
What?
Yes.
So I'm walking down the street and 4 out of 10?
4 out of 10 of them, yeah.
All right.
30 to 35% accept evolution as God-guided.
All right.
20 to, now these numbers, they don't really quite add up all right. So there's always a little fuzziness here. 20 to 25% accept evolution through natural processes only. Overall, 58 to 80%, that's a wide gap, accept evolution in some form. So it kind of depends on how you ask the question and everything. But still, there's still a very large number of people who believe that no, evolution isn't true. The Earth's only 6,000 years old, and man was specially created in the Garden of Eden, and this evolution stuff is a bunch of bunk.
But you can witness the evolution of a white moth into a brown moth, in a couple of generations before your very eyes. So they're probably not thinking about that kind of evolution.
Well,
right?
So this is one of the things that gets kind of interesting. Is
this what you mean by how you phrase the question?
Yeah, because even people who believe in biblical creationism, who believe in a 6,000-year-old Earth and all that kind of stuff, still believe in evolution. They believe
that dinosaurs walked the Earth.
Yeah, but they also believe that creatures will adapt and change in different environments. So this idea that they don't believe in that's not true. Right. They believe in evolution. They just don't believe that an amoeba can evolve into a lion. They'll say that
if what Darwin observed on the Galapagos Islands, he's like, yes, different
changing
birds
the finches and all that. Yeah, a 6-day creationist would say, well, of course. You have a bunch of different animals. You have one original group of finches, and some of them adapt and they do this.
They flew to different islands that had different environments.
Exactly. So that's not at issue. Right. Everybody accepts that.
Right. People who say they don't believe in evolution don't say that the world looked exactly like this.
Yes.
6,000 years ago.
Tigers were exactly this way, and monkeys were exactly. No.
Okay.
So that's a misnomer. But generally speaking, the 6-day creationists would say that you have kinds. In Genesis, it talks about God creating animals each according to their kind. Okay. So things stay within their kind. Yeah. Big cats stay big cats. They don't turn into horses or, something like that. You see what I'm saying? So there is that going on. Right. But still, you have a large percentage of the population that just doesn't believe that everything...
And I'm assuming those people are just saying, no, we
believe the Bible.
We're not monkeys in shoes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's at odds with the consensus of modern science, but that's what a lot of people believe.
All right. So the most recent update, I remember this distinctly. This is from 2004.
Okay.
This is Kitzmiller versus Dover. Dover Area School Board of York County versus Kitzmiller. And this is 2024. This is intelligent design.
2024?
Yeah, this is intelligent design.
Right.
It said, they voted that students in the school should be, quote, so you had to say this before, be made aware of gaps/problems in Darwin's theory and of other theories of evolution, including, but not limited to, intelligent design.
Okay,
So we were going to include in biology class the teaching of intelligent design.
Right.
So a group of parents filed a suit against the board, argued that the promotion of intelligent design is an unconstitutional promotion of religion, violating the separation of church and state, arguing basically that this you're just trying to backdoor creationism.
I'm not at all persuaded by that, because we have to have a theory of intelligent design. Leave evolution aside for a minute. You go out, you're a geologist, you go out and you find some strange formation, strange collection of rocks. You have to say, did a human do this, or did this happen naturally?
Yeah.
Okay? Or you're an archaeologist and you're digging around in the mud in Samaria and you find this strange collection of things, of wood. Okay? Did this happen by chance, or did this happen because a human made a house here?
Okay.
Right? So you have to have some rigorous scientific way to decide. Okay, let's take another example. The COVID virus. Did
Is it engineered?
Is it engineered, or did it happen by chance? Okay, so you have to have some way, some rigorous, scientific, rational way to distinguish something that's designed by an intelligence and something that happened by chance. Right. You have to have that. Right. Okay? Now, so completely leaving aside evolution or any of that other kind of stuff, you must have that discipline. Now, why then, given the fact that you have to have that discipline, is it unreasonable to apply that discipline to life? So I think this whole idea of saying that intelligent design is just creationism, that's bunk. No, intelligent design is a different question. Now, I'm not saying I advocate intelligent design. I'm just saying that it's a perfectly reasonable question to ask whether something is designed or natural, and you have to be able to answer it.
Well, that's not the way Judge John E. Jones III ruled.
I know, because
it's just the newest format by the Discovery Institute to insert creationism.
Yeah,
and
I know that's the way the so-called intelligent people look at it. They say, no, this is just creationism disguised as something else.
Yes,
that's bunk. In my opinion, intelligent design is a completely different question, and maybe they have that motive. Maybe it is. Maybe their intent is to sneak in creationism. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe all those things are true. Right. But from a purely rational perspective, intelligent design is a perfectly legitimate question.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Thank you there, Mr. Carl. And I would say, the people who stirred up this little mess in Dayton, Tennessee, probably did not think that the future Crow Hill and Pigweed would still be talking
100 years later.
100 years later.
They probably thought it would be resolved by 1935.
and everybody would just forget about it.
Everybody would forget about it, and they'd go on taking their soma. That's right,
Like, one of the preeminent podcasts of the 21st century.
Exactly.
Would still be
talking about this.
But it's fascinating, and it resonates, and from what I hear, this ain't over yet.
No. So let me ask you this question. Everybody likes to say, boy, it's really important that people believe in evolution. It's just so important that people believe in evolution. Because if they don't believe in evolution, they're going to be dumb, and they're going to not understand anything.
Superstitious yahoos.
Let me give you an example of somebody who doesn't believe in evolution.
Right.
Ben Carson.
Ooh, that's a sciencey guy.
Yeah.
Really sciencey guy.
Really sciencey guy. Really great neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
Doesn't believe in evolution.
What do you know?
So my reaction is, okay, fine. Yes. Evolution is creatures modified over time. The basic timeline and structure, all that stuff's true. Fine. But when it comes down to it, I wonder, does it really matter all that much? Right. I think people who want to make a huge big deal out of it, it's like, I'm not sure it really matters. I mean, sure it matters to a certain extent, but does it matter all that much?
Well, I think now that we have kind of digested it as a culture, but going back to our earlier conversation, I get the 1925 rural Tennessee panic because of the baseball, but I think, now in this modern world where this is part of the air we breathe, but is it that consequential?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, we still have, 37 to 40% of Americans who don't believe it.
And they seem to be getting along just fine.
They drive down the road just fine.
Yeah, right. They don't believe in witchcraft. And
well, I don't know about that.
I don't want to see the numbers.
That's right. Maybe they also believe in witchcraft. Who knows what else? They might believe in aliens or something. I don't know. Yeah. So.
Gosh. Yeah. That it would be something like that. We have been visited by. It's probably in the 30-40 range.
Might be.
Yeah. But it's not. It's not because of the Scopes trial.
No.
And it's not because of belief in evolution.
Yeah, but this was fun because I remember hearing about the Scopes trial in school and going back through it and kind of looking at the details and figuring out what actually happened and what was at stake. You know what? I never really got the sense of all the things that were in the stew that were at stake at that time.
Very, very interesting to dive into that. So we've covered this. We've covered The Great Gatsby. So what is it? Mein Kampf and Charlie Chaplin, I guess, are
still on the list. Maybe. Cheers.
I'll have to read it, do I?
Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.